Yo, 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 we're back. We're back on the regular channel. Let me start off by apologizing. I posted our last video on my personal channel, so I'm pretty sure you just subscribers here didn't see the video. So my apologies. But we're back with casual conversations with the homies. We got Guru and we got Tito. Guru, how you doing?
Doing great. How you fellas doing?
I'm good. Tito.
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Hanging in there. End of the weekend. Wish it was longer. But I'll take it.
Yeah, I feel it, man. The week's been going by pretty fast. You know, football season is over, so I'm kind of like, I feel like I got more hours in a day because I'm not like, um, not say stressing over football, but you know, it's an all day event. So yeah, today's show, as you guys can see the
Hey,
top, we have some topics. We're talking the NBA All Stars, hot seat going into the 2021 season for the NFL. Also some draft news, and you know, I'll be sprinkling back in some NBA predictions because you know, lots going on in the season right now. Like I don't know, it feels like the season's not happening, and then it's also happening. So yeah, yeah. So Guru, start it off, man. Start it off your All Star talk. Who are we talking about?
So it turns out that Damian Lillard will be coming off the bench for the All Star game, and I think there's a few people who feel a little salty about that. But you know, it's the All Star game. You know, it's not what it quite used to be, and so I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I mean, Dame's averaging 30 points a game, Luka's averaging
Mm-hmm.
29. They're both balling.
Yeah.
You know, they just happen to be in the same conference. Uh, I like what both of them are doing right now, but I like the graciousness of Luka because he's kind of deferring to Dame by saying, "Hey, you know, I really feel like Dame should, you know, have the nod. You know, this just showing respect. You know, and but yes, I don't want anyone to get alarmed about it. It's just an All Star game. They're both playing fantastic, but it just seems to be the buzz right
Guru,
now.
I'm shocked. I didn't know you were gonna go this route. I don't. But go ahead, Tito.
nah, I mean, I say I agree with you, Ramir, that I wasn't too sure where Guru was gonna go with his stance on this, but just because I mean everybody in our all of our viewers, everybody here, we're all Bay Area, right? We give so much love to Dame. Like that guy is definitely a baller. He is a straight killer when it comes down to scoring with it. But I mean, I I agree with Guru here. Where it's the NBA game, it's the All Star game. Like this year, I think Ramir, you said it at the beginning, where it seems like the season's not going on, but it is. It's just kind of just weird altogether. I mean, there's been some great product out there. There's been some fun games. I mean, shout out to New Orleans Hornets. I think they're or New Orleans, Charlotte.
Charlotte.
My bad. Charlotte Hornets are really really fun to watch. But yeah, I mean, it's just the All Star game, man. Like I think ever since LeBron kind of said, we shouldn't be having it, and there's players that feel on one side of the spectrum, but then there's players on the other. It's good to see Luca kind of say, yeah, you know what? I think personally, Dame deserved it over I did. But it's not taking anything away from Luca. Like Luca is balling. Like he is that team. I mean, Dallas isn't up there in the standings, and I think it's because um, new coaching staff and kind of surrounding him with the players that they thought he needed. But Luca is still kind of doing everything himself, and Portland is definitely those teams that we kind of called that said was going to be one of the top tier teams. But with CJ being out, they're still throwing KOs out there. They're throwing haymakers. So um, it's the All Star game. I mean, people are going to get hurt. People are not going to want to be there. Like unless there's some sort of incentive on Dame's like contract or something, or all of these players' contracts that's saying I'm gonna get paid more because I'm a starter,
Yeah.
then maybe they should kind of fight for it. But other than that, I mean, it's there's always gonna be more people that are deserving and willing. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna be talking about the snubs of the reserves, right? Like who didn't make the reserve list or anything like that. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the NBA All Star. Like you guys said it. I think you guys made all the points. You know, he should he be started? Maybe, but you know the way it works and how it's voted on by the fans. You know, and I know they take coaches' opinions in it as well. But you know, if the guy get the highest fan vote, you know, It's a thing. It ain't nothing. The NBA All Star game is nothing like so like credible like how it used to be back in the day, to where you need to start or something like that. So it's all right. Nobody's watching it. Not saying nobody's watching it anyway, but they're not even 100% sure if they want to play in it. So any snubs
Is
though?
Well, I mean, is the format for the All Star game like back to how it used to be, where it's like East versus West, or are they doing the players can pick their reserve teams or
I
whatever?
don't know. I'm thinking it's East versus West how they have it. So I don't know. You know, I have no information on this. Do you?
No, I don't. I just I'm not quite sure how they're doing it. But COVID and everything.
Yeah. Well, all right. We got some comments in here. Let's see. Um, Jose, and I guess your nephew is in here too, Tito. We got Dave
Yeah,
Voss in here. He's like, hello, dogs. And then he says, David, Guru, this is for you. He says, Guru, what's up with Mahomes? Did I call it or what? How Mahomes proved the bed in the Super Bowl was the anti Brady. You like that poo to the
well,
bed?
well, hey,
Hey, did we all pick?
uh,
We all pick the Bucks, right?
we picked the
we
Bucks.
did.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So Tua, uh, you were right, but that he played a really good defense. I'm not going to take anything away from him. Yes, he did poo the bed. If you're out there on the field, you have to make plays. And it didn't happen for him. So there you go.
yeah.
Hey man, he's still. I won't take anything away from Mahomes, man. But there were some plays. I mean, he was running the whole time. I mean, he was running for his life, and I think I think Bucks showed us this kind of this scheme with a lot of the big time teams and quarterbacks that they played in the season as well. I think we called it on that previous show where it we kind of saw this happening, but Mahomes did. There were some throws that he made that he put his team in a position to make some like ridiculous plays, like if they could have went 50-50 balls basically. And he was still making some of those throws, and it could have went at either or, but they weren't going to win that game if he wasn't 100% healthy, or the Bucks just came out swinging. But there was just some ridiculous throws that I saw, like towards the back of the end zone. I mean, to keep them out of the end zone is a feat in itself, but I mean, that one that he threw where he was like Superman, parallel to the ground. I mean, he hit his receiver in the face, you know?
Well, since we're talking Super Bowl right now, and you guys are talking about Patrick Mahomes, and what he couldn't do. Let's talk about what Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks did for a second. You don't bet against Tom Brady. We said it. I think it's a thing. Let's just call a spade a spade. The man is pretty good. I didn't even want to have this debate on the show because I can't run too long because I'm supposed to do something. But Tom Brady, greatest athlete of all time, or what? I know Tito's gonna go Jordan here, but I don't know. I'm gonna let Guru go first because I already know. I know Juan's answer. So Guru, go ahead.
I think he's one of the greatest champions of all time.
Okay, that's
Because
fine. When I say athletes, I don't mean like somebody who can run and jump. I mean greatest at your
Yeah.
sports. Because Tom Brady's a better athlete than anybody sitting at home. You know, so to me, he qualifies as an athlete. So
oh, okay, okay.
I'm not saying athletics, physical athletics. I'm just saying, let's just say championing.
Um, I I think he's one of the top. I can't put
Who's the
anyone
top three
above him.
then? Oh, okay, he's
I would
number one
have to
then.
say I would have to say him, Bill Russell, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh, go ahead, Tito.
Them fighting words right there. I'm not gonna take anything away from Brady. I think to me he's the best quarterback. Are the winningest, the best. One of the best champions. As Guru, I actually like that word. I think he's one of the best all-time champions that we've seen in it. Jordan is still going to be my number one, and I'm not going to waver from it. I can definitely argue for and against. I think, just different sports. As much as we want to say, same era, I don't actually think it is same era. It's kind of like right at the cusp. When Brady was coming in, I mean, I think New England's first championship was 2003.
2000. It was
But
after, I think 2002, 2001, right after September
yeah,
11th.
but it's like, I mean, for longevity, everything like that, I'll give it to Brady. He actually did something that I think Jordan realized very, very early on in his career, which you always got to evolve. You always got to want to get better. And that's what Brady did. That's what Brady has been doing in his career. It's like he's not the most athletic, but and he's not the most accurate. He doesn't have the biggest arm, but he does enough. He does the little things, right? Like he kept himself in great shape. Um, changed up his diet for all intents and purposes to keep himself out there. And then he's actually one of the best at getting the ball out as quick as possible. Whatever the play is, he doesn't get hurt all that much. He doesn't get hit all that much. So it's like he continued to evolve his game, and I'll give him props for that. As for top three, I mean, there's more than top three, man. Like, I mean, we can go coaches, we can go players, like Bill Russell. Bill Russell has 11 chips. If we just want to go off of championships, I mean, if we want to say that, then John Wooden, the coach of UCLA, just dominated, and had everything and anything out his, for it. But so I can't give you a top three. I mean, I will for the sake of the show. But I'll say Jordan's going to be my number one. This is going to come to a shock to most, but I'm going to say Serena is going to be my number two. And my number three is a toss up, but I'll give it to you guys. I'll say Tom Brady is number three.
Man,
As just with chips, with dominant, just the longevity for always doing it. But there's just so many people that can be in that conversation. But I would say just Jordan because of the compression. But that's just me, man.
yeah, I guess that's an opinion. I guess I'll give my take on it. We got the Bill Russells. To me, it's a lot of champions across all sports. You got like, what's the dude name? Arnold Palmer, Tiger Woods, Wayne
Yeah,
Gretzky's.
Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah, Jack Nicklaus. I think, what's his name? Sidney Crosby, Ronaldo. He has like a lot of champions in his thing. Serena, Jordan. But reason why I'm putting Tom Brady on this list is because popularity of sport. If you understand that football is number one, and I live in America, so this is the number one sport, and we all like it. Like, we have a sports show that we did every single week during NFL season. The NFL season stopped, and we just took a break because we kind of were like not watching sports for a minute, because nobody watches regular seasons of any other sport when they do football. So Tom Brady to do it, and we talk about eras. Like, Jordan played in this era. This person played. Tom Brady arguably played in 3 different eras, and he won every single time. So he literally have MVP trophies in 3 different boats. And this last one being on a new team, new coach, new offense, new players, new city, new scenario. And still go all the way and still win a game. I don't know. I might have to put him in there. And then I didn't even say he was 43 years old. I didn't say that. Like, a lot of these players are dominant in their sports, and they are dominant. But when it comes to like a physical sport like football, the most physical sport, I know quarterback position is not like the most physical, but you seen his line this year. He was getting hit. He was getting bruised.
Yeah.
And to win and still be number one, I'm putting him up there. I like Jordan. Nah, I personally don't like Jordan. But Jordan is cool. But to me, LeBron wins 2 more at LeBron's age. If LeBron wins 2 more, it's arguably that we're going to put LeBron in there. 7 Super Bowl rings. Let's see who has 4. Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I actually don't know part of this. I'm going to ask something, but I actually don't know part of this question. Like, I don't know the answer to part of this question. I do know some of it. But who has, throughout his career, who has LeBron idolized? Who was LeBron's idol?
Jordan?
Who did he exactly? Jordan. Who was Jordan's idol? I don't know that. I don't know if it's ever been stated. I don't know if he's ever came out and actually said, "This is who I look up to. This is who I want to be. This is where the measuring stick is." So it's like, to me, I mean, I'm not old, I'm not young, but to me, it's like the reason that I put Jordan up there so high is that all of the idols, like there's people that I idolize right now that are playing, their idol is Jordan. Like he is the measuring stick that everybody wants to go to. If you go to Jordan, he didn't have a measuring stick. I mean, he wanted to win. He did everything to want to win. I mean, we saw the documentary. He was a sociopath. When it comes to football, I think you're right. Football is the number one sport out there when it comes down to money, to everything. And Brady, I'm not going to take anything away, but it's like I don't hear a lot of kids these days saying, "I want to be Brady."
Yeah,
that's
what?
Who I want to be. That's who I want to win like Brady. I want to have these chips. I want to have these ice.
No, if you play,
but I'm not going to take anything away. But I'm just saying, like, with idolizing, like, if somebody's going to look up to him and come out there on the record and say, "This is who I think is," and even though they're putting themselves in that conversation, like LeBron is making a great case to be up there. But for them to come out and say, "Nah, this is where it stops," I'm gonna take it for face value.
Man, I'm sorry. The basketball and football is, is a different sport, and you can be on a court and say you want to be like Michael Jordan because you're on the court. But if you're not a quarterback, you don't want to be a quarterback. All quarterbacks want to be I think all the quarterbacks coming in, they all look up to Brady. And this is the difference. When Jordan was in the league and he was getting up there in age, and let's just say his Wizards stint, right? When he played for the Wizards, he had everybody that was looking up to him going against him, right? Tom Brady, same thing. He has all these other quarterbacks who looked up to him for like the past like 20-something years, going against him and still losing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm giving it to the Bay Area kid, man. I would have never thought myself in 2000 being a Raiders fan that I would be saying that Tom Brady is one of the best sports champions of all time. But you don't win multiple. Like I think we got it in common in here. Aaron Rodgers won Super Bowl, Matt Ryan 0, Peyton Manning 2, Big Ben 2, Steve Young 1. Joe Montana had it at the time. Terry Bradshaw, I said 4. But 7, I don't know. That might be unheard of. You don't have dynasties in the NFL that goes with one person. Go ahead, Guru. Let me get you back in here.
Let me just add this though. When we talk about greatness and champions, we're going to go ahead and condense this because what you have really is a very short list of people. And when I think of truly great champions, I think of someone like Hank Aaron. I think of someone like Tom Brady. I think of someone like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. People who have a level of sustained excellence over an absurd period of time. 3 decades, 2 decades. That's a long time. So when I'm not thinking short career. I'm thinking like a real great champion, someone like a Tom Brady, who you said won in like a few decades. You have these great athletes, and it's a very, very short list. But you can start with Hank Aaron.
Yeah,
and then you can work your way on down.
That's a good one. But like you said, Guru, good point about Tom Brady. Any last points before we move on to hot seat, Tito?
Nah, I mean, I'll save it for another time. Once again, I'm a Jordan loyalist. The only thing I gotta say, 10-year is a long time. I think a lot of people like to throw the Wizards, the Wizards' time with Jordan, that he wasn't dominant, he wasn't doing that. But I think people forgot why he actually came back for those. He didn't come back to play. He came back as a marketing. Like, he came back for the team. He was an owner. He was a 10% owner. The reason that he did is his team was struggling. He wanted to sell tickets. And there's a reason why, for me, I feel like that laid the groundwork for where he's at now. He's the only majority owner in the NBA. Like, he's the only one that they have in the seat right now. I mean, he sucks as an owner, right? His track record isn't great, for the product that he's putting out there. But he he had to make necessary, necessary moves in order to do that. But
I feel it,
that's
but
just
those
where he's at, man.
those
But
stats those
it is
stats
what
those
it is.
stats
Hold on.
count. Go ahead, Guru.
As
They
a
definitely count. I mean, he
40-year
still
Wizards
has.
fan, as a 40-year Wizards fan, I'm offended by your comments. We didn't even want him on the court. We just wanted him to try to screw up our franchise any worse than he did by drafting Kwame Brown. All right.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't buy.
No, it was horrible. It was
point.
horrible.
We didn't need him on the court. We didn't want him on the court. As a matter of fact,
But that's what he did,
we were
though.
worse with him. We were worse with him on the court because he was taking time from Jerry Stackhouse and a couple other players who had years under him. He came in, and we just would rather remember him in Chicago, and he'd rather not even come there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Tito, he came back for the Wizards and he was trash. So I mean, I get that he's one of the greatest basketball players of all time, but he did come back at that older age, and he didn't do as well as he once did. I'm just saying, some guys are older player in his sport, and he's still doing relatively well. So, all right,
He still buys shoes.
but I don't buy Jordans, but people do. He still. But anyway, let's go to hot seat. Go ahead.
Hot seat 2021 season NFL coaches and players. Why are we doing this? Because the salary cap has went up. As a matter of fact, I think it's went up about $12 million. So we're going to start with our coaches hot seat. And the first one on that list is guess who? Much whom was given John Gruden. This will be year number 4 for John Gruden. And although people say, hey, he has a 10-year contract, listen, there are buyouts in every contract. Don't be fooled by it. All right? This guy was brought in to turn the Raiders around. He said that he could fix Derek Carr. They're on the fence right now whether they want to sign him or trade him. John Gruden's got to get it done. I'm not even going to say nothing to Derek Carr anymore because John Gruden is on his plate. Number 2, coach on the hot seat. Let's go to the Rams. All right? Now, you might think, oh, my God, Sean McVay is up and coming. But guess what? When you traded Jared Goff, guess what? Ownership took your side. Mm-hmm. So you better be right. You better be right because you gave up a whole heck of a lot. Now, also, we have one more. And his name is Mike Zimmer. The Purple People Eaters in Minnesota aren't getting it done. They've had 3-4 years. Their window is actually closed right now. They have some good young pieces, but they have to get back on defense where they were. So technically their window's closed. Mike Zimmer's not getting it done. He's on the hot seat. So those are my 3 coaches on the hot seat. Let's go to players.
Wait. Go, let us do our coaching.
Sorry. Hold on, sorry.
Yeah,
what do you guys think about that?
Go ahead, Tito.
I don't agree with Gruden being on the hot seat for the sheer fact that if they don't change ownership, like the history that Al Davis, Mark Davis, the Raiders, just overall ownership, the history is like that's their guy. If they say that that's their guy, they signed them for 10 years. He's not like the richest owner. He's not gonna make a move that could hurt him. They're gonna be okay with writing out that contract, in my opinion. As a fan, I agree with your points, Guru, that yes, he should be on the hot seat for the product that's putting out there and everything like that. But I don't see it happening because I feel like he has, because of that contract and the power that he has there, and with Mayock as a GM, it's like I think he has the most secure job out there because of it. But as a fan, I agree that he should be on the hot seat. I agree with Sean McVay. I think this trade, I wouldn't put him as like 2 hot seat, but I do think that if the Stafford trade does not pan out, it is on McVay. It does sound like that's what he wanted. It does sound like that ownership was going to trust him to say, okay, we're going to give you we're going to give you this quarterback. Let's see what you can do. Our window is now. We have to win now. So I agree with that. I think he needs to put up or shut up when it comes down to it. Um, Zimmer, I mean, I think he's just a list of a lot of coaches that just need to come out here and outperform and outplay. I mean, they got some, they replaced a dynamic receiver with a rookie that can kind of match him and do some things, but it's like, can they show up every single Sunday to at least win that division? And Green Bay is still running it. Regardless of Green Bay losing their run game, if Aaron Jones goes somewhere else, I still think Green Bay is going to be Green Bay. They're still going to be one of the top tiers there. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away. The Bears. I mean, the Bears don't have a quarterback, but that defense is strong enough to win them a lot of games. Like, they have a stout defense. So if they can get that right, watch out. Like, we talked about how Detroit can make some noise or anything. So there's a lot of coaches out there, but I would say it's a good list, Guru. I don't agree with the Gruden one for the sheer fact of ownership. Like, I don't see him going anywhere. I don't see that change. I mean, I would really hope that the quarterback guru would change quarterbacks when he sees that his quarterback's actually not playing, and that's not happening, I mean, at least Sean McVay, who's not really a quarterback guru, but is his offensive mind, is actually rolling the dice here and saying, I need to try something new. I need to try something different. I'll actually commend him for that.
For me, it's different. I have Guru. I agree with you on John Gruden, and I also agree with you, Tito, about the point is ownership. He's kind of locked in there, but I don't know if he has if we didn't have a losing season, we went 8-8, and Derek Carr played okay. But if we don't improve on that, I can see if we if it's a fire dump season, I can see how he might get let go out of that contract, or they try to see what they can do. But I have some coaches. I have some coaches, and I have one surprise coach that nobody put on here. Sean McVay. I agree with that. I said Nagy might be on a hot seat. Like, I like his team, his defense, but he coaches for Chicago, and that team organization is rough when it comes to coaches. I have one that he for sure is on a hot seat for me. Cliff Kingsbury. He shouldn't be an NFL coach at all. And I'm not saying the Kyler Murray #1 pick was crazy and atrocious, but that was, we'll see if they can improve. Mike Zimmer, I do agree. Pete Carroll, surprised. I think he might need to be a coach. I say he needs to be on the hot seat, but I don't know if his team doesn't start improving. I think it might be time for him to go. He's the oldest coach in the league. Russell Wilson is saying that he's tired of getting beat up. And then last but not least, I don't know if he's on the hot seat, but he should be in the future. Bill Belichick. I think that he should be on the hot seat because, he had the opportunity to keep Brady happy on the team. He didn't do that. He let him go. He said he didn't need him. He brought in anybody. Cam Newton said he can do the same job. They didn't. He hasn't been building his offense to be successful in the league like Tom Brady. I feel like I'm just a Tom Brady show. But Tom Brady shown that he was just carrying that team and that offense because they stink. Hopefully Bill Belichick can get his defense back this year and win some games. But if they don't, if they have a losing season, that's bad, and they're not really making no good moves because this guy is stubborn. You knew some of those players were trash. You didn't want to make not one single move in the regular season to make your team better, and you had a losing season. So if you do that again, you have to go. You have to go. As an ownership, who golden child, you let go over personal feelings, you on the hot seat for me.
I like that. I like that pick right there, Ramir. I think you're absolutely right with Bill Belichick that, he might not be on the hot seat, but it is somebody that's going to have to watch, what he's doing. I heard an interesting take the other day where I was all like, man, that kind of makes sense, but I don't know how believable it is because not anybody's gonna, not everybody is gonna say I don't care. So the take was that he just didn't care about the season. He didn't know what the season was gonna bring because of COVID, because of everything. Like you saw it in the draft where his dog was the main picture. That they just said he just didn't care about this season. Like his team, some of his high profile defenders said, hey, we're not going to play, like they definitely opted out. So it was one of those where it's like, hey, I'm going to take a season off. I'm going to reset, and it's like, for me, it's like, it made sense the way that they were picturing it, the way that they were presenting and saying, hey, look, he's not going to naturally go out there and lose games. He's not going to put anybody in jeopardy or anything, but he's not going to come out and play the short game. It was going to be a long game to be like, hey, look, we don't know what the challenges are in front of us with this disease, with everything that's going on, the season, like teams, postponing, practicing, all of that stuff. And it's the long game, I mean, I see Bill Belichick. I'm a big Star Wars fan, right? There we go. But I see him as like, Palpatine, of just laying back and waiting till his next protege is coming in, planting those seeds. And so it was an interesting take. It was believable. I can definitely understand where it's coming from, but I think you're right, Ramir. Like Brady went out there and showed what he can do and did it with him. Now it's like everybody's going to be looking for a response. Hey, how is Belichick going to respond this next year? Is he going for it? Is he going to do this or anything like that? I mean, I still think he's a great coach. He's a great, but I just feel like, hey, it was an interesting take.
Yeah. We'll see. Let's talk. Well, before we get into the draft, and since we're on the topic of Patriots, there was a clip that came out today with Cam Newton getting harassed by this teenager. Have you guys seen it?
I did, yeah. I saw it right before this.
Oh man, the teenager was like, "Oh, you're a free agent, but you're like," he said he was AWS. Like you're weak. You're a free agent. And Cam Newton was like, "I'm rich though," and he's like, "You're gonna be poor because you don't have a team." Let me just say this right now. Teenagers are the worst human beings ever in life. I don't care how you feel about Cam Newton. The guy's an NFL star. Have some respect, young man. Like I think every day we slipping further and further into like the wrongness as a society when it comes to these young kids. Go ahead, Tito.
It's the cancel culture, right? It's like it's the troll mentality, right? Like I'm just gonna go out there, I'm gonna say whatever the hell I want to say. I mean, I think he handled it beautifully, though, man. Like that when he said I'm rich, I was dead, dude. I'm just like, nothing that you throw at me, nothing that you say, I'm gonna be good,
Yeah.
The other thing is like he was like, "Where's your dad? Where's your dad? Like, let me talk to your dad," And it's like, I think you're right though, man. Like, dude, these kids, like, I mean, yeah, I know I was a knucklehead growing up as well, man. But it's like, man, I knew that if I said something along those lines, somebody's gonna come and smack me around the corner, Like it definitely is gonna be, um, you know, not a golden rule or anything like that, but definitely show some respect when it comes down to it, man. If you do have a comment, like talk to them, just don't do it for clout. But that's
Yeah.
what kids do nowadays, man. That
Man.
TikTok,
Yeah, he had
what's
this.
gonna get the most likes or most views,
Yeah.
He's probably gonna be like, man, yeah, I was probably in the wrong or whatnot. But now this thing's circulating, million views. We're talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. It's like, oh, I'm the kid that called out Cam Newton. It's just like, nah.
Yeah. That's a punk move, but kids, man, kids are gonna be kids. He's like, let me speak to your dad, man. She's like, hey, why is your son not doing this? But like you said, man, the camera was rolling. It was already on TikTok. They posted it as soon as it happened. It went viral. Now this kid, he was gonna be the next level kid anyway, has a platform. In some way, he's gonna get some money. But speaking of kids, let's talk about kids becoming men. The NFL draft. I have no research on this at all. Go ahead, Guru.
Well, I mean, basically, I think the public generally knows in the football world who the top quarterbacks are in the draft, at least in the top 10 half of the draft, as projected. We have Justin Fields, we have Trevor Lawrence, we have Trey Lance, but then another name just popped into it that
Mac Jones.
we haven't really heard of. Mac Jones is good. He's someone who should be in the first round, but this is the name that's just kind of baffling to me. And his name is Zach Taylor of BYU. Now, they have him projected either at the number 2 spot or the number 4 spot, either to the Jets or the Falcons. And before I give any commentary on this, would any of you like to comment, or do you know anything about this guy? And do you feel like he's a guy that you would take at the top of the draft?
So I'm with Raymir. I haven't done a lot of research on it, just from like podcasts that I've listened to and everything. It's my understanding that the Jets have projected to be very, very enamored, or all the inklings out there saying at number 2 they're gonna take this BYU kid. And that's all I really know. I mean, it's my understanding he had it's kind of like one of those like Senior Bowl. Like as soon as people saw him, there's like, oh, he has all the tools. He's definitely going to be the next big thing. I mean, I think we saw it with like Danny Dimes, right? Daniel Jones, one productive year. But I mean, this is the NFL pattern, right? Every year there's this one guy that kind of just comes out of nowhere that everybody says he has the tools. This is going to be the kid. But from what I've heard, the Jets are like super, super serious at number 2 with him, which I'm okay with, because the Jets kind of suck, and let them do whatever the hell they want to do. They're not going to do anything good. I'm a big fan of Fields. I know we'll get into it, and I'll tell you where I think he should go. And it's the makings of, with so many people being high on this BYU quarterback, Fields could fall to a team that I think is going to suit him very, very well.
Yeah. I don't know, man. To me, every single time when a quarterback come out of blue like this, it's always the same thing. They're not that great. Let's see. Yeah, not every single time, but a lot of times. I haven't heard too much about him. Trevor Lawrence is going to be number 1 pick. We knew that coming in. Like, he can see, like you said, Justin Fields is up there. I don't know. To me, I'm only sold on Trevor Lawrence right now. And maybe Trey Lance. Maybe. I've seen some tape on him, but the rest of them can fall where they may, man. The NFL has shown that the drafting of a quarterback in the first round is a stupid science, and they always get it wrong anyway. So these guys who go further and fall into the draft have a better career. Like, let's just throw this out there briefly. This kind of reminds me of when what's these guys' name? Carson Wentz came out of nowhere. Josh Freeman came out of nowhere. Who else? The list goes on and on. Who else came out? Like, even Daniel Jones is out there. Paxton Lynch. Paxton Lynch. It just over and over. The NFL just gets it wrong. To me, they don't hit. It's a lot of more misses than it is hits. So, man, who drafted that guy?
A guru. Well, here's the thing. There's this wanting, there's this desire for teams to want a face of their franchise, and looks means everything. Looks, we know that in this world. But let's examine Zach Taylor a little bit closely. All right, now he went 11-1 this past season with BYU. They actually had a full schedule, and this young man is projected over. He's projected over Justin Fields. All right. Now, if you want to compare these two records over the last 2 years, Justin Fields played Ohio State played teams with a combined record of like 35-23 versus BYU's 21-40 something. All right. Those are off a little bit, but right in that area. So let's go over Zach Taylor's season, shall we? Okay. So they played Navy. They played Troy, Louisiana Tech, University of Texas San Antonio, football power, huh? Houston, Texas State, Western Kentucky, Boise State, North Alabama, who I don't believe they won the game this year. Coastal Carolina was their toughest competition, and that's the only team that they lost against. So they went 11-1 this season. They beat San Diego State, they beat UCF. Now, my whole thing is, who does BYU play? For this guy's numbers and his competition to put him over Justin Fields. So let me ask you, the guy in Ohio State, he's going to do the same thing. I just don't understand how he can be top English.
Here, I'll give you, I'll argue for him. I don't know too much of him. I didn't see any of his games. I don't actually know his stats. But the one thing that I am hearing is if you're good and you play shitty teams, excuse my language, you should win. And you should be up there if you're good, right? Like you should be beating the teams that you should be beating. And it sounds like he did that. It sounds like he went out there and balled out against teams that weren't great or not good. And if he's doing that, then maybe that is an argument of saying, okay, he's good because he's doing this to the teams he should be doing it. So that's what I'll say. I would be interested. I'm not gonna knock a kid for what he is. I mean, I'm still really really high on Fields. It's just like what Fields showed me against Clemson. Powerhouse team. What he did against them hurt everything like that. I mean, that's something that's like an intangible that you really don't teach amongst a quarterback. Like we saw that with Deshaun Watson in Clemson, when he did what he did to Alabama, and it's like Deshaun Watson still fell out of the top 10, so it's just like that's something that I would value as a as a team to want in my quarterback. But for this guy, like I would say if they're really just scouting him and being like, look, he's putting the ball where it needs to be. He's reading, yeah, he played against nobodies, but he showed that he's still doing what he needs to be done. Then maybe that's a kid that they would want on his team that he can show progression or learn or anything like that. I mean, look at Herbert, man. Like Herbert lit up, lit up. And a lot of people are like, he can't read defenses or he doesn't know the playbook. But it's like he went out there and just slinged it and did what he did, right? And it's just like, he's out there. I mean, there's another name on this list that I think should go in the first round. I don't know if he will, but Jones from Alabama. Like, yes, I understand he had the top 3 receivers in the league. One of them won the Heisman Trophy winner. But if you saw Jones's throws, he was putting them where they needed to be. They were perfect throws. They were in stride. They were, his receivers weren't going out there. And I mean, there were times where they were making the plays, but the quarterback made it easier for these guys to do what they do at the highest level. So, I agree with you. I have Fields up there as number 2. He should go number 2. But, if he went out there and did what he did against those teams that he should be doing it, then maybe there is something there for him.
Yeah. He can only play against the teams he plays against. That's like Trey Lance. He's in a whole weaker division, but he's still getting talk of being a first round pick. To me, I think Zach Wilson, that's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson is pretty good. I think, he can run. He can throw. It's the same thing. I think it'd be a disservice if he got drafted this high for his career personally. Like, if you want to kind of have a sweet spot, I think you kind of want to go after 10, but I don't know. The NFL, like I said, Trevor Lawrence is the only one I've seen, like, the last 3 years that I know of that I can, like, I'm like, okay, he looks like he can play in the NFL. He's big. He has a nice arm. He can run pretty fast. He can do good. Zach Wilson, he has some good highlights. I've seen some of his highlights. He looks cool. Justin Fields looks good, but he only played 6 games. In this last game, it was a pretty bad game he played, but his body of work is still there. So I don't know. The NFL, I'm telling you, the NFL, when it comes to the draft with quarterbacks, I'm out of it because you just never know. To me, you only got to know about the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
But even now, look, all the number 1 picks for the past, 10 years don't play for the team they got drafted by.
It's going to be interesting, though, because it's like there's a lot of teams that are looking for upgrades at quarterback, right? Like just trying to find their answer, trying to do what they do. And it is being considered one of the heaviest quarterback drafts. Like there's five quarterbacks that are being talked about of potentially going in the first round. So that has all the makings of a lot of movement and whatnot. But everything that I've initially heard, I mean, we're still a couple months away from the draft, But everything that's been out there is that the Jets are very, very, um, I guess enamored is the right word, but are very, very enamored with the prospect of drafting Wilson. I don't know if it's if it's a ploy. I don't know if it's to, hey, somebody come and get this number 2 pick or anything like that. Um, but if that were to happen, man, watch out, because that would put Fields. I would see it will perfectly line him up to go at number 4 with the Atlanta Falcons. How scary would that team be with Fields on that?
Not at all. They suck.
You can't say that. I mean, yeah, I guess, I mean, they were the team that was out there, right? But they had a lot of winnable games, right? Like they
Yeah.
literally were just blowing it at the very end, So it's like we talk about time
Pause.
management, right? If you have
Yeah.
a quarterback, maybe he sits. I mean, yes, they got Ryan. I don't think you can trade that contract, but I mean, they traded Goff, they traded Wentz. Everybody's going, right? So it's just like, as long as you partner him up with a first round pick, or with Wentz's return, the price is right. If you're willing to give up, or if you're willing not to get, that you can trade these astronomical contracts onto a team that's willing to absorb it.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see though. I mean, what's the last time 5 quarterbacks got drafted in the first round? Oh, that's right. That's the famous class of Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson class.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't think Trevor Lawrence is a generational talent. I don't think he was better than Deshaun Watson. He certainly didn't play against the defenses that Alabama had that are in the NFL that him. But I think he's going to be a really good player. I just don't want people to think that he's a generational. Andrew Luck was good. He had good skill. I wouldn't say generational.
Andrew Luck was generational. I think so.
Well, I mean,
out
he had his
of all the
opportunities
quarterbacks that
in
got
8 years.
drafted in the last 20 years, I think Andrew Luck was probably the best one. I think maybe him, and I say Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Him and Cam Newton, and they both came out.
Cam.
I thought they was number 1s.
But I just don't think Trevor Lawrence is. I don't expect him to walk into Jacksonville and even have them a 500.
I don't expect anybody to walk into Jacksonville and have
like that. I watched his pro day. His arm didn't look anything exceptional. Then a 3rd or 4th round quarterback would be considered. And when you're a quarterback who has his talent and you're surrounded by other 5-star talent, that's going to make you look good. Do you know what kind of players Clemson get? Look at their recruiting services. Those are 5-star players.
What's the criteria of judging these players then? They have to be on a mediocre team and play great and be undefeated. That's not going to happen in college football.
I'll tell you what the criteria is. I'll tell you what the criteria is. Criteria is doing something outside of your capabilities. I see everything was structured for him there. He's going to go into the NFL on a Jacksonville team, in a conference, and then schedule and it's not going to be a structured offense. You're going to have a weak left tackle versus a high-paid defensive tackle. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I want to see. When the bullets are flying, we'll see. But right now, I just don't think he's the end-all, be-all. I was right about Sam Darnold. He was the number 2 pick. I said he is not that guy. And so far, I've been proven right. I've been watching a lot of football. I'm not saying that he's not going to be good. I'm not going to say Zach Wilson's not going to be good. All I'm saying is that, people need to be responsible when you're drafting people this high and they don't pan out. People need to lose their jobs. Their heads need to be cut off and axed because they're not right. And I just think too much clout is given, and people who are in the media tend to look like the people that they are bloating about. And I'm just saying, like I told Hotbox, believe more what you see than what you hear.
Yeah,
you'll be a lot better.
And I hear you, Guru. But I'm saying at the same time, you just said he didn't play against the elite Alabama team. He did. He was the first person who beat the Alabama team to show that they was weak as a freshman. I'm not saying he's the best player of all the time. I'm just saying out of this draft class, he's been showing it for the past 3 years.
You got those guys around you.
He's been showing it. That Alabama. all right, to his credit, Alabama had the same team that beat Clemson earlier or the seasons prior, where they won the national championship, and he beat them. So I'm not saying he's like the end all to tell all to anybody. Nobody is. You just never know. Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round or 5th round. You just never know. Dak Prescott was drafted in the 4th round. He's the only quarterback on this class on the same team who needs to get he not. I don't know. We'll talk about that next week. But you just never know. And to me, I'm only going off of body of work of longevity. And everybody that's been drafted, Trevor Lawrence is the only one I know who's been playing against high-level opponents since he's been in college.
He's good.
And he's been doing it for 3 years. So if you had to pick one of them, right now, he's the guy. He's the tallest one. He's 6'6". He can run a 4.5. They're going to pick him. Like, it's a thing.
I probably would take him number one. I probably would take him number 1, too. But I just don't think that he's that guy like everyone like saying about Baker and stuff. I mean, you got to surround Baker. Look at all that talent around him. Now,
that's what you want to do. You want to surround. You want to surround okay players. All right, let's just say if it was a team, right, who had 2,000 wide reception receivers and like 1,000-yard running back, and this quarterback kept throwing interceptions, right, and not doing it. And he's surrounded by good players. He had an all-pro tight end. And say if you plug in another quarterback whose job is just to manage those good players and not make the mistakes, we're gonna label that as a good player. Like I'm not saying this is that real life Tampa Bay Buccaneers situation, but that's what happens. So I don't think anybody needs to any of these players, they don't elevate nothing. Baker's not going to elevate nothing. We just want when he has the good players with good talent around him, that he does well enough to do that. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to have that in Jacksonville. He should not want to go there at all. It's a horrible organization. It's not ran well. So that's too bad for him. Urban Meyer is a dumpster fire of a coach, and he should have never got that job personally because he makes decisions that are done personally. Like, how do you bring in a coach with controversy in this day and age? I'm not saying they're right for firing him. I'm not saying he should never get a job. But in the climate we have today, you got to be smarter than that. You got to be smarter than that, Urban. I don't care if he is your boy. At least, wins a couple games, and then 2 years later you might bring him in. But anyway, that's all I got to say, man. We'll find out. I know more. We'll have more to come on the NFL draft. March. That's how the show got started off. Actually, it was in March. We talked about the bubble, and then the NFL draft was like, I don't know. We had a good year. It's like I think next month is our 1 year anniversary of.
Gotta celebrate that on the show.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk. I just want before we get out of here, we got a few more minutes left. I know we briefly talked about the NBA, but what are your NBA predictions just for the season? Like who's gonna win? What you think's gonna happen? Go ahead, Tito. You go first.
NBA predictions. The Lakers are not going to finish the number 1 seed, but are still going to win the NBA championship.
Guru.
I'm going to go ahead and say, watch out for the Phoenix Suns, everybody. They're dangerous. And when they get in the playoffs, remember, it's a series. And they have what it takes to scare you.
Man, I have no predictions. Maybe the Nets might make it up. I don't know. The East is weird. Like, now to his credit, Doc Rivers has gotten the 76ers playing pretty good. I don't know if David is in here, but David was saying that Doc Rivers is an overrated coach, but he's doing a good job in Philadelphia right now, David, if you're still watching. So.
You're wrong, David.
Yeah. So,
he's doing a good job. Yep. Embiid, man. Embiid is making a case, man. Is making a case. I mean, I still think it's LeBron James's MVP to lose, but Embiid is making a case, man.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens in the NBA.
Wizards. 8th seed. Our Wizards will be an 8th seed.
Get out of here.
And sneak into the playoffs. In the back door.
Get out of here, Guru.
Here, Guru. Is Beal gonna get traded? Would you want Beal to get traded? Come on, you got to save him off of that franchise.
I do. I want him for some pieces to build around Westbrook.
Nobody's gonna trade him. And this NBA season is weirder than last season. The bubble season was more calculated than this monstrosity that they're doing. The Warriors look spotty. Draymond Green keeps getting kicked out of games for stupidness. The Charlotte Hornets are interesting to watch with their young kids on their team. The Pelicans, they're kind of quiet right now, but what's up with them?
They have like no identity right now, man. Like it's like they have some good, like Ingram is balling out from the games that I've watched. Like he's definitely coming to his own, being the player, kind of playing the contract that he got, right? Zion, man, like Zion is still ridiculous, man. Like he's so explosive, but I kind of want to see more on like the defensive side, man. Like I want to see him kind of take over on a defensive end and kind of clamp down, but I'm not really seeing that through.
Yeah. Weird. Well, all right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Guru says goodbye. We'll be back. We'll be back next week. Last words, Tito. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Sorry once again for the mix-up of me posting the last video on the wrong channel. I was wondering why nobody this channel, because every single time we release an episode, we get a subscriber. We get a subscriber every single time. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Oh, I just forgot, but won't happen again. We'll see you in a few days. And I'm out. Peace out.